Hello, welcome back to Rooftop Talks. Today I want to talk about the moral baseline. I received a very typical run-of-the-mill deflection from a non-vegan in the comment section of one of my videos. Nothing new there. And I decided that this would be the video that I answer it because it is so typical and it is such a common misunderstanding of the moral baseline that we need to go over at some point. So I've got the comment here, and I'm going to read the comment to you. The comment reads, "There are children fighting in wars in foreign countries, dying, screaming, never having known even a tender thought. And the babies of first world countries are crying about the cruelty to animals. I hear your reasoning. And I do love animals, and I do not know the answer to my question, but is it not worthy of your consideration? Can you truly do nothing?" So their question, is it not worthy of your consideration? I believe they're talking about the children somewhere in the world, the human children who are, they say, fighting in wars in foreign countries, dying, screaming, never having known a tender thought. So not alluding to any particular country or any particular person, individual that I would know of, but isn't it my moral obligation to do something about it? Do something about the children. Right, so we're here talking about the animals. That's what I do. That's what I do, right? I talk about the animals. I talk about animal rights. I talk about veganism, and I talk about animal liberation, okay? The moral baseline that we should not exploit animals. Humans should not exploit animals. We have a moral obligation to cease these unnecessary acts of oppression, exploitation, confinement, enslavement, killing, all of that stuff. We shouldn't do it because we don't have to do it. We have a choice and we should choose the peaceful choice where we live and let live, okay? That's what I'm here to do. But they say, think of the children. Now, straight away, the most obvious thing here is that it is a distraction. It's a diversion tactic, right? It is a distraction away from the victims that we are talking about here in this conversation. And we can do this with anything. Just to give you an idea of how this is a tactic, this is a ploy, maybe you're protesting against the lax gun regulations in your country because your child was just killed in a school shooting event. You mourn for your child's life, and then you take action and you say something must be done about this. I am now childless because of the lax gun regulations. This is just an example. I'm not here to go into that topic, just giving you an example. And you say to me, but what about the human rights violations occurring in Uganda right now? Can you truly do nothing about the children in Uganda? Now, do you have a point? Maybe you have a point that we should intervene in a foreign conflict that has nothing to do with us. We call it interventionism. But is it appropriate and is it on topic? Absolutely not. It is absolutely not appropriate. As long as there's something happening in the world to distract away from whatever is taking place right here and now, right? We can use that as a diversion to just put a pin in it, to just stop talking about it until another day. Let's defer it to another day because there's always going to be something going on somewhere in the world that takes precedent because you don't value the animals. Okay, so that's the obvious thing, but we're going to go deeper than that. Don't worry. This comment is suggesting, or maybe inferring, that I have a moral obligation to intervene in people's lives whom I have no connection with, whose suffering and harm I did not cause, in countries I have never set foot in conflicts that already have the world's attention and that already have the world's sympathy. What you are proposing actually has a name, and it's called slave consequentialism. This is not what vegans are claiming. This is what you are claiming. You see, there is no end to this demand that you have. If we logically extend this ask, this obligation, It would imply that anyone who has more than $0, anything more than $0 in your bank account, is committing a moral crime. Because if your balance is $1, you could have spent that $1 on saving the children, whether it's WaterAid, Amnesty International, Oxfam, I don't know. This is slave consequentialism. You follow it to its fullest extent, you have a moral obligation to be penniless. 0 calories in your system because you've spent all of your energy. You see how this is an unhealthy standard to hold someone to that has no end to it? Furthermore, it is unclear if I am actually informed enough on these vague children dying in foreign countries to intervene in a way that would realistically actually help or solve the situation and not just make things worse. If I intervene in a subject that has nothing to do with me, that I have no experience in, that I played no part in, it is very possible that my efforts to solve that problem could end up making the situation worse. And there are many examples of this where the intervention actually did more harm than good. And that is why our request as deontological vegans is to simply stop the exploitation that you are already participating in. That's as far as we go as vegans. That's all we ask of people, is to stop the things that you are doing, your habitual participation in the exploitation of animals. It's not a big ask. Your ask is a very big ask. If you're asking me to save the children, it's fucking virtue signaling. You're not doing that. You're just speaking about it. Have you noticed that with what vegans say comes action? Vegans talk about the exploitation of animals. Vegans have stopped their participation in the exploitation of animals. Vegans are continuing to not exploit animals with every day that goes by. Their request is actionable. You could stop tomorrow. You could pull the plug on it at any time you want. You just change your choices. You just change to buying vegan alternatives instead. It's actionable, it's simple, doesn't break the bank, costs the same amount if you're doing it right. So look, I'm not here to shit on altruism. Altruism is great, but you can't hold it as a moral obligation. It is an optional bonus. It has to be. It has to be an optional bonus because we as individuals also matter, right? Something that's in my own self-interest. I must, in some kind of way, have the freedom to pursue something that is good for me, but just not at the expense of others. By comparing veganism to an act of interventionism, you are underhandedly presenting veganism as an act of external interventionism, when it isn't. If I'm talking to you and you're a non-vegan, we are always talking about the specific cases of animal exploitation that you participate in. And this could be the clothes that you wear. It could be whether you go horse riding, you decide to ride on the back of an animal for your entertainment. It could be if you're a scientist and you're performing experiments of curiosity on an innocent animal that you captured in a faraway country. And of course, the bodies and secretions of animals that you eat, perhaps up to 3 times a day. That's the most prominent one, of course. But beyond that, we don't implore people to get involved in advocacy or in any kind of activism. We typically say, if you want to get involved in advocacy, then these are the Facebook groups that you can join, where you can get involved. We don't press the advocacy because advocacy goes above and beyond the moral baseline. Meaning, it would be nice if you wanted to do some advocacy as a vegan, but you're not morally obliged to do it. As long as you are not exploiting animals, you meet the moral baseline and we'll leave you alone. We'll probably do more than leave you alone. We'll probably give you a high five, a hug, and a pat on the back. The moral baseline is to not harm others, no matter what they look like, no matter how big or small they are, no matter what species they were born into, which is something they cannot control and had no choice in. We're asking people to not be prejudiced in this way, to not just apply one's ethical principles to beings who look like them.
The chronic excuse maker. How do you stop making excuses? This is actually pretty simple. And I said it the other day, and you have to realize, you have to know, you have to accept that all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them. Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them. You don't have time. That's a lie. You don't have support. That's a lie. You don't have the equipment or the gear. Lies. You don't know the best way. Who cares? That's a lie. Or you're too old or you're too young. Of course you're too old or too young. Lie. And there's you're too busy. Sure you are. That's a lie. And you're too tired or you're too sore or you're just plain not feeling it. Lies, lies, lies. And the list goes on and on and on. And it doesn't stop if you don't make it stop. So recognize the excuses are not valid. They aren't. They're trumped up. They're conjured up. They're fabricated. They're lies. And how do you stop the lies? You stop the lies with the truth. The truth. The truth will set you free. The truth will stand, and the truth will deliver you from procrastination and laziness and the downward spiral that comes with a lack of discipline. So don't believe the lies, believe the truth. And the truth is, you have time. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the support and the willpower and the discipline to get it done. So cast out the lies, burn them down, and listen to the truth, and live the truth, and go out and get it done.